like to introduce myself. My name is Geroge Martin, and I'm a plein air painter. And I'm a member here at the North Shore Arts
painting
Association,
capturing the subject
here in Gloucester Basin, which is a very historical site here in Gloucester. And being a plein air painter, when I'm out plein air painting, painting outdoors is what that means. Is I look for aspects like light, shapes. On this scene, on the side of the building, probably a half an hour earlier, we were getting more sunlight on the side, but I do remember what was happening with the shadows, and that's all part of the challenge of painting outdoors. Is seeing something initially and trying to remember that for the next 2 or 3 hours. And oftentimes what I'll do is come back at the same time under the same conditions and try and finish the painting. I'll go back to a same scene maybe 2 or 3 times and maybe touch up in the studio later on. What I'm looking for are the broad shapes, the dominant edges in the painting that make it interesting, and the subject matter. I mean, we have to have the subject matter to begin with. And I do a lot of landscape painting outdoors. I prefer painting outdoors because it's everything in nature that determines the way your painting develops. The breeze that hits you in the back while you're laying that last stroke of paint on the canvas, the bees, the birds, everything about the light is very exciting. It's much more exciting for me to at least start a painting outdoors and then finish it up in the studio if I have. Right now I'm working on a sort of an underpainting, and I use a burnt sienna pigment to block things out, to map things out, to draw, to do my drawing. And what I have here are 2 brushes. One is loaded with the burnt sienna pigment, and the other one is just loaded with turpentine. And what I'll do is cover the whole canvas with the sienna, the burnt sienna, and then I'll pick out the colors. I'll pick out the whites underneath with the turpentine-soaked brush, and basically lift out the highlights. And then I'll go back in with the burnt sienna some more and put in more tone for shadows and dark areas. And then I'll get my drawing to a point where I'm happy with it. And then I'll start adding my color pigments on top of that. And I'll work on this, and it'll almost be dry to the touch by the time you get to the point where you're putting over layers of color. And you want to keep your tones very thin with turpentine, which is very lean. I can use the term lean. And then as you come out from that bottom layer of underpainting, you're actually using fatter layers where you're using medium with linseed oil in it, and that's what they term that as a fat layer. So you want to go from lean to fat in order to have your oil painting dry correctly. At the beginning stages, I've only started. I might work on this. I would start an underpainting and work on it for about an hour, and then I'll start adding colors. Build in my skies and trees and the tones in the buildings, and then bring it forward. I can actually, depending on the subject matter, I can actually almost finish a 9x12 in one sitting. Sometimes I may have to come back. The bigger canvases do take a little bit more time. But plein air painting is to me a very rewarding, very therapeutic process. It's something that I truly enjoy and have great passion for.